Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. Last couple of days has been crazy at work. Hopefully, what I'm doing tonight with multiple videos, it will make up for a little bit of the silence over the last little bit. Today we have a abridged version of episode 27 on the 108 account, and I thought we go into mid-game PvP a little bit. I know in the recent video I talked a little bit about you know, trying to figure out where to take this account. I think after careful evaluation, what I'm really doing is simply accelerating the gameplay. We're all going to hit the exact same walls. Doesn't matter if you're free to play or pay to win. If you're pay to win, you're just going to hit it way faster. If you're free to play, you probably will feel a much longer, lengthy, drawn out progression. If you're free to play, you're just worried about maybe I'm not progressing fast enough and I'm losing interest. If you're starting to pay, it's also the temporary expectation that at some point you'll feel like the progression will also slow down. It's sort of like just manage your spending so that you don't go overboard. Spend and then you get frustrated because you're spending and you're not getting the results you want, because at some point this curve will progress very quickly. So in this video, in episode 27, I will talk about how I was helping the guild prepare. We are up against very, very tough opponents. We are ranked 4th in this guild, but you can see pretty much every player right now on the championship within our division is pretty much from one of the Bushido sub guilds. We're up against Dark Sky and also Inverted Sky. And in this abridged version, I'll click over a little bit of the highlight. I'll go through in detail about how I'm actually building out every single one of my team. This covers content for both free to play and pay to win in my mind, because really, if you look at my roster, I really only have 2 limited heroes that's decent. One is a Muron, the other one is Erato. And for most of the team, you really have to think about what's feasible for free to play. So what you will see me end up testing with is I talk about how to build teams around core hero units. So for example, right now this is really going into details about how to build a second turn team and really play counter to the control meta, which we still see a lot of today, especially early and mid game, and what are good heroes that go with it. So it is a long video. That's why I'm doing this abridged version, and hopefully you will find it helpful. I will also include the links to the PvP masterclass series, where I think in there are some infographics. They're a bit old. They're done with older heroes, where I kind of talk about, the concept of, how to speed tune, because speed tuning is super important. And when you listen to this hour-long video, you will hear all the details around how do you build your team so that you won't get interrupted in between. If you want to cut your opponent team, like what is the optimal speed that what's the maximum you can, for example, put your Nordak or DMU faster than your Panda, so that when you get hit by CC, they still end up going first, right? So details like that is really important, because it helps you really min-max your heroes and distribute the stats most optimally for PvP. So I go through all sorts of different teams, right? Like this is sort of like building out a core team around, how do you go for both offensive but also be able to, have cleanse, taking advantage of Catherine. Then I start talking about testing these teams against really strong opponents, and you actually hear my thought process as I figure out how to build these teams, or how to match these teams against my opponents. I go into a little bit of the gear building as well, and talk about the various options, and talk about the turn order. Here you can see the first one. This obviously is it's a you lose one, but it's about how do you go from there and then you win kind of 2 out of 3. Because one thing you want to do in a lot of these situations is you want to practice yourself in advanced arena for guild arena. So this video was posted a week in advance. Actually, I posted as an unlisted video for all the people in my guild, and what I wanted to do was to really take this opportunity for people to go through, really get into the habit of taking advanced arena as your best practice ground. Build 3 team, really really get the hang of it. Don't change it around. Figure out which composition are strong against which, and then use that in your guild versus guild arena setup. Now, there is a minor difference between guild versus guild arena versus advanced, and the main thing is the tower buffs. And the tower buffs make some teams a bit stronger and make some of the teams a little bit weaker, because with the boosted stats, it's actually easier to break through some of the defenses. So keep that in mind as you note some of the minor differences between guild versus guild as opposed to advanced arena. But advanced arena is always what I'll say is great ground to practice and get your 3 set up, but also more importantly, learn what teams are good against what. I think the key part of having your entire guild be able to win guild battles is to get that experience and to say that, I know when I can win that 3-0 versus sometimes I need to take a 2-1. Or even if I have to take a 1-2 to get at least 1 point against this opponent. Because a lot of the time it comes down to, if you make the wrong play, right? You're thinking you're going for a 3-0, you end up being like a 1-2 or even worse, a 0-3, just because, you thought you could, be a little bit more greedy and trying to go for more points, you end up with less. So if you're not sure, you should always kind of go with less, right? So here you can see in this composition is, again, they have an Aeroto, I think, E3 on the other side, but here, just because I'm tanky enough, and, even with a hero like Mamook, all I'm doing is just stripping away the anti-CC buff. Now I can actually freeze his team because his Panda already went. He won't be able to cleanse again, and, I talked through all of these details in the video. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description below, and you see all my commentary and playthrough and all my thought process, around how to beat some of these teams. Yeah, I challenge some of the really tough opponents in this. Like, I go up against some of the top lineups in my division. I didn't win 3-0 on all of them, but for all of them, I believe I've won at least a minimum 2-1. And these players are all, big whale, stronger than me, and I was able to go through, right, and manage to beat them. So I talk about the thought process, and I did this all without changing my teams around, and that's all comes down to how do you optimize your team and trying to figure things out. In the video, at some point you will see I quickly realized my first lineup wasn't optimal, and then I quickly moved things around a little bit to really to get the teams to a more optimal state. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and in the future, if you like, because I know I get feedback around sometimes my videos are really long. If I ever end up making like a video that's more than say 40-50 minutes, I might want to do just a abridged version so that people get a feel for what they're about to watch and know what's in the full clip. And then you get this short abridged version before you watch the long version. Okay, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Gandalf out.